This live coverage focuses on the ongoing Iran protests. The analysis will cover the underlying causes of the unrest. The Iranian government's response to the protests will be examined. The coverage will also address the global consequences of the situation. The aim is to provide a comprehensive understanding of the events unfolding in Iran. The following analysis will explore the key factors driving the Iran protests. It will examine the government's response and methods of suppressing dissent. The analysis will also cover the short-term and long-term ramifications of the protests. This includes the impact on Iranian society, politics, and the economy. The goal is to provide a comprehensive understanding of the complex dynamics surrounding the Iran protests. The visualization depicts Iran's inflation rates over the last 5 years. The data highlights the economic challenges and instability within the country. Inflation rate is a key indicator of the increasing prices of goods and services. The graphic representation emphasizes the severity and trends of inflation. The visualization aims to provide a clear understanding of Iran's economic crisis. The Iranian currency is experiencing a significant decline in value. This collapse is measured against major global currencies, like the US dollar and the euro. The exchange rate reflects a substantial weakening of the Iranian currency's purchasing power. Economic instability and international sanctions contribute to this devaluation. The currency's depreciation impacts Iran's trade balance and domestic prices. The cost of living index measures the relative price of essential goods and services in a specific location. This index provides insights into the affordability of basic needs, such as food, housing, and transportation. In Iran, the cost of living index reflects the expenses required to maintain a certain standard of living. Comparing the cost of living index with average income levels reveals the financial strain on residents. High living costs relative to income can indicate economic challenges for individuals and families. Analyzing this relationship helps understand the economic well-being and purchasing power of the Iranian population. The timeline visualizes key events and policies that triggered public discontent in Iran over the last decade. Economic hardships, including inflation and unemployment, are major drivers of public frustration. Political restrictions and social limitations contribute to widespread dissatisfaction. Government responses to protests and public grievances are critical points on the timeline. A map of Iran is displayed, highlighting the capital city of Tehran. The map illustrates the expansion of protest activity beyond Tehran. Multiple cities across Iran are marked, indicating widespread demonstrations. This visual representation shows the geographical distribution of the protests. Protests often start with specific economic demands related to living conditions. As movements evolve, these demands can transition into broader political slogans. This shift reflects a deeper understanding of systemic issues. Political slogans aim to address the root causes of economic grievances. The change signifies a move towards comprehensive societal change. The protests observed are not spontaneous or sudden occurrences. They are the culmination of long-term, underlying issues. These issues have gradually built up pressure over an extended period. The protests represent a release of this accumulated tension. Understanding the historical context is crucial to interpreting the protests. The protester population includes a diverse range of age group. A significant portion of protesters are young individuals. The working class forms another substantial demographic among the protesters. Bazaar merchants are also represented within the protesting groups. Therefore, the protests reflect a broad spectrum of society. Women have played a significant role in various protest movements globally. Their involvement spans diverse social, political, and environmental causes. Visual media often highlights women at the forefront of demonstrations. This visibility underscores their active engagement and leadership. Women's participation challenges traditional gender roles in activism. Their presence amplifies the call for inclusivity and diverse perspectives. Demonstrations involve participants from diverse geographic locations. Both urban centers and provincial areas contribute to the overall participation. Urban populations often bring a concentrated number of participants. Provincial populations expand the geographic scope of the demonstrations. Mapping the distribution shows the breadth and depth of support. This geographic spread can influence the impact and perception of the demonstrations. Labor strikes are collective actions, where employees withhold their labor to pressure employers. These actions typically involve a temporary work stoppage by a significant portion of the workforce. Strikes are often organized in response to grievances related to wages, benefits, or working conditions. Street demonstrations frequently accompany labor strikes to raise public awareness. Demonstrations aim to garner support from the community and exert additional pressure on employers. Different sectors may experience strikes depending on economic conditions and labor relations. The generational divide represents differing viewpoints between younger and older generations. These differences often stem from contrasting life experiences and values. Protesters often represent younger generations advocating for change. Current leadership typically embodies older generations with established ideologies. This divide can manifest in disagreements on social, economic, and political issues. Visualizing this divide highlights the tension and potential for conflict or collaboration. The phenomenon observed is not confined to a single, isolated group. It represents a widespread sentiment of discontent within society. This dissatisfaction transcends specific demographics or affiliations. It is indicative of broader systemic issues or grievances. The expression of this dissatisfaction can manifest in various forms. Understanding its root causes requires a comprehensive societal analysis. Heavy security forces are deployed to monitor and control protest areas. The security presence aims to maintain order and prevent escalation. Footage captures the scale and positioning of security personnel. The deployment serves as a visible deterrent and response mechanism. Arrest statistics provide quantitative data on law enforcement activities. These statistics typically include the number of arrests made for various offenses. Data may be categorized by demographics, such as age, race, and gender. Reported use of force incidents by authorities are also tracked. Use of force data includes the type of force used and the circumstances surrounding the incident. Analyzing these statistics can reveal trends and patterns in law enforcement practices. The graphic represents areas experiencing internet shutdown. These shutdowns restrict access to online information. The map highlights regions under information control measures. Visual indicators denote the severity and extent of the shutdowns. State media often frames protests as being supported or instigated by foreign entities. This narrative aims to discredit the legitimacy and organic nature of the protests. It suggests that protesters are not acting out of genuine grievances, but are manipulated by external forces. The foreign-backed label can be used to justify government crackdowns and censorship. This framing seeks to undermine public support for the protests by associating them with foreign interference. The state's primary focus has been on containment strategies. Containment refers to measures aimed at controlling or limiting a situation. These measures are prioritized over implementing broader reforms. Reform involves making changes to improve a system or situation. The state's approach emphasizes immediate control rather than long-term systemic improvements. This prioritization reflects a specific strategic choice in addressing the issue at hand. The U.S. has issued a formal statement condemning the actions. Western countries are expressing strong disapproval through official channels. These condemnations highlight the international community's concern. Statements emphasize the violation of international norms and laws. The unified response aims to exert pressure for a resolution. Geopolitical risks arise from the intersection of geography and politics. Protests can destabilize regions by disrupting political and economic systems. Such instability can lead to international tensions and conflicts. Neighboring countries may be affected by refugee flows and economic disruptions. External actors may exploit the situation to advance their own interests. These factors collectively amplify regional geopolitical risks. Sanctions are economic tools used to pressure a country to change its policies. These measures often restrict trade, investment, and financial transactions. Sanctions have significantly impacted Iran's oil exports, a major source of revenue. Reduced oil revenues have led to decreased government spending and economic instability. The Iranian currency has devalued, increasing import costs and inflation. Limited access to international markets has hindered economic growth and development in Iran. Diplomatic caution refers to the strategic restraint exercised by nations in their international interactions. It involves careful consideration of potential consequences before taking any action. This approach aims to minimize risks and maintain stability in international relations. Nations may exercise diplomatic caution to avoid escalating conflicts or damaging alliances. Footage shows diaspora protests occurring worldwide. These protests are organized in support of Iranian protesters. Demonstrations take place in various countries. Protesters voice solidarity with those in Iran. The protests aim to raise international awareness. Footage captures the scale and intensity of global support. Iran is currently facing an internal crisis. This internal crisis is now expanding beyond Iran's borders. The crisis is beginning to impact global diplomacy. International relations are being affected by Iran's internal issues. The stability of the region is potentially at risk. Global diplomatic efforts are becoming more complex due to the situation in Iran. The analysis focuses on evaluating the probability of short-term protest suppression. This involves assessing factors that could lead to a temporary halt in protest activities. Consideration is given to potential interventions and their immediate effects on protest momentum. The goal is to determine the likelihood of these interventions successfully suppressing protests in the short term. Government legitimacy is crucial for maintaining public trust and stability. Actions perceived as unjust or corrupt can erode this legitimacy over time. Scandals involving high-ranking officials can significantly damage public perception. A decline in legitimacy can lead to increased civil unrest and political instability. Loss of legitimacy can make it difficult for the government to enforce laws and policies. Restoring legitimacy requires transparency, accountability, and genuine reform. Recurring unrest refers to the potential for future outbreaks of civil disorder. Assessing this risk involves analyzing various socio-economic and political factors. Key indicators include levels of inequality, unemployment, and political grievances. Historical data on past unrest events provides valuable insights. Government stability, security force effectiveness, and external influences are also crucial. A comprehensive risk assessment helps in developing strategies for prevention and mitigation. Reform involves gradual, systemic changes aimed at improving existing structures and processes. It typically focuses on addressing underlying issues and promoting long-term stability. Repression, on the other hand, relies on suppressing dissent and maintaining control through force or authoritarian measures. While repression may provide short-term stability, it often leads to increased resentment and potential for future conflict. Examining historical events provides valuable context. Past situations can offer insights into current challenges. Analyzing previous outcomes helps anticipate potential results. Historical examples reveal patterns and recurring themes. Understanding historical precedents informs decision-making. Learning from the past can prevent repeating mistakes. Historical evidence suggests that repression can temporarily suppress unrest. Repressive measures may create a superficial appearance of stability. However, history indicates that repression rarely addresses the underlying causes of unrest. Therefore, repression is generally not a long-term solution for resolving societal issues. The following segment is dedicated to answering your questions. We encourage you to submit any inquiries you may have. Your questions will be addressed in a comprehensive Q&A session. We value your engagement and look forward to your participation. The central question is whether current events could precipitate a regime change. This involves assessing the potential for fundamental shifts in political power. Factors influencing this assessment include political instability and public sentiment. Ultimately, the analysis seeks to determine the likelihood of a transition in governance. Analyzing current protests requires comparison with historical precedent. Comparing protest scales involves assessing participant numbers and geographic reach. Historical context is crucial for understanding the underlying grievances of current protests. Efficacy can be gauged by examining policy changes resulting from past demonstrations. Technological impacts on protest organization and dissemination should be considered. The military's primary role is to protect and defend the state. This includes safeguarding its territory, people, and interests from external threats. The military also maintains internal security and order when authorized. Additionally, it may participate in international peacekeeping and humanitarian operations. This segment is transitioning to the closing statement. This marks the conclusion of the main content. The closing statement will summarize key points. It may also offer final thoughts or conclusions. The studio setting indicates a formal presentation. State power represents the authority and resources controlled by a government. Public demand reflects the collective desires and needs of the citizenry. Tension arises when state actions conflict with public expectations. This conflict often manifests in debates over policy and resource allocation. Mechanisms such as elections and protests serve as avenues for expressing public demand. The balance between state power and public demand shapes governance and societal outcomes. The social and political landscape is subject to constant change. These changes can be driven by various factors, including technological advancements. Changes also come from economic shifts and evolving social norms. Political reforms and social movements are also key drivers. Recognizing the dynamic nature of society and politics is crucial for understanding current events. The protests in Iran highlight a fundamental conflict between governmental authority and the populace. These demonstrations reveal underlying tensions within Iranian society and its political system. Regardless of the immediate results, the protests have catalyzed significant changes. Iran's social dynamics are evolving due to increased public engagement and demands. The political structure is being reshaped by the ongoing dialogue and challenges to existing power. The long-term consequences of these shifts will redefine Iran's future trajectory. The screen displays a concluding message. The primary message encourages viewers to stay informed. This promotes continuous learning and awareness. The message also emphasizes the importance of staying human. This could mean retaining empathy and connection in a digital age. Economic indicators provide insights into a country's economic performance. The unemployment rate measures the percentage of the labor force that is jobless. GDP growth reflects the rate at which a country's economy is expanding or contracting. Inflation rate indicates the pace at which prices for goods and services are rising. Consumer confidence surveys gauge how optimistic or pessimistic consumers are about the economy. These indicators are used to assess the overall health and stability of an economy. Social media platforms are key venues for observing and analyzing protest-related trends. Analysis involves tracking hashtags, keywords, and user engagement related to the protests. Sentiment analysis tools can gauge public opinion and emotional tone regarding the protests. Network analysis identifies influential users and communities driving the protest discourse. Geographic data reveals the spatial distribution and spread of protest-related activity. Visual content analysis examines images and videos shared to understand protest narratives. Official government statements are being released to address the ongoing protests. These statements aim to communicate the government's position on the issues raised by protesters. The statements may include responses to demands, explanations of policies, or calls for calm. Text overlays are used to display these official statements for public awareness. Experts offer varied perspectives on the potential impacts of the protests. Some analysts predict significant policy changes as a result of the demonstrations. Others suggest the protests may lead to increased social and political polarization. Economic analysts are evaluating the potential short-term and long-term economic consequences. Political scientists are studying the effects on voter turnout and future elections. Legal experts are assessing the legal ramifications of protest-related actions. Audio clips of protesters are played. These audio clips capture the raw emotion and intensity of the protesters' feelings. The audio focuses on the protesters expressing their grievances. The audio provides a direct and unfiltered perspective on the issues at hand. Governments implement various security measures to protect citizens and infrastructure. Enhanced border security is a key measure, including stricter screening and surveillance. Cybersecurity initiatives aim to defend against online threats and protect digital infrastructure. Increased surveillance through CCTV and data analysis helps monitor and prevent criminal activity. Public awareness campaigns educate citizens on how to identify and report suspicious behavior. Collaboration with international agencies facilitates intelligence sharing and coordinated responses to global threats. International media outlets are actively covering the protests. Various news organizations are reporting on the events as they unfold. Different media platforms are used to disseminate information. Graphics and visuals are incorporated to enhance coverage. The coverage aims to inform a global audience about the protests. Reports may vary based on the media outlet's perspective. This explores potential future developments within Iran. The scenarios will be presented using graphical representations. These graphics aim to illustrate different possible outcomes. The focus is on visualizing potential changes and trends. These scenarios offer a glimpse into Iran's possible future. A call to action is a prompt designed to encourage an immediate response from the audience. It serves as a clear and direct instruction, guiding viewers toward a specific action. This action could involve staying informed about a particular issue. It can also encourage continued engagement with the topic at hand. The goal is to motivate viewers to take the next step and deepen their involvement.